Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Steady Focused. I'm your host. I'm your number one, Mr. SimeonHendrix, and today's show is something very special. We're sitting down with Mr. Peter Hurley. He's a world-renowned headshot portrait photographer based in New York City, and equally as strong as his phenomenal portfolio is his passion for teaching. He's got numerous classes available with Creative Live, F-Stoppers, and he's regularly hosting in-person workshops. Guys, this dude is one of my heroes, and I'm honored to have him on the show. So please help me give a big, steady, focused welcome to my friend, Mr. Peter Hurley. Good afternoon and welcome to the show, Peter.
Hey, Simeon, thanks for having me on. I'm so glad you asked. I'm psyched to be here.
Yeah, dude, this is a great moment in my life, and I know this is going to provide value. Or my goal is always, to provide value to the listeners. And I got chills right now. Honestly, I really have chills right now. So thank you.
Cool,
So
cool.
this is great. I'm excited. Man, anyone can go right now to peterhurley.com or cruise through your Instagram and just see your breathtaking images. And I know you're a mentor to so many, whether it's virtually or physically. But man, I'd like to talk about your early years. Who was your mentor in the beginning, and who encouraged and inspired you to even get into this game?
No, it's a pretty easy question. It all started when I was training for the Olympics for sailing. I race sailboats. I'm really into it. I love it, and I still do it to this day. But I trained for two Olympics, and when I started training, I got a designer from DKNY like was helping me, and she had a photographer take some pictures of me sailing, and then they sent them over to Polo, and they were looking for sailors for an ad campaign, and I got the job and I showed up and I was sailing my boat around and Bruce Weber started taking pictures of me. And next thing I knew, I decided I was like, well, once my sailing ended, I got some modeling jobs. And I was like, wait, let me go to New York and see if this modeling thing can take off. So I started modeling and it went fairly well. I mean, I worked in New York as a pretty consistently, but I was doing the model actor bartender tender thing. The modeling led into acting, and then I found myself that I couldn't make enough to sustain living in New York without having a side gig. So I was bartending, and I hated it. So that like it's like 4 in the morning. I'm exhausted, and I'm like, what? I got to get out of here. What am I going to do? And Bruce had always encouraged me to pick up a camera, and I had shot with a ton of photographers, and I thought, I don't know how they do what they do or what they do, but what they do is really cool. So I was like, if I did that, maybe that would be cool. But the thing was, I had modeled for about 5 years before I picked up a camera. So I was like kicking myself. I was doing shoots with like all these amazing major photographers and paying zero attention to what was going on the set. So I
Mm.
decided to take advantage of some of them and try and get some help. So I went to Madrid. I was in Madrid because my girlfriend at the time was like, I'm going to go model in Europe. I was like, I'll follow you. And this
Mm.
friend of mine, Ramiro Montoya, is a photographer in Madrid, and he's like, let's go take some pictures of you guys, and we'll come back to my apartment. And he had a darkroom in his apartment. I'll teach you how to use a darkroom. I was like, cool. So he taught me that, and I went back to New York. And actually, at that moment, I was in Madrid. I decided to buy my first real professional camera, um, and I got it. He helped me like pick one out, and it was a Mania 645. And I went back to New York. I went straight to B&H. I bought a darkroom. I plopped it in my mom's basement, and I just started shooting my friends that were models and actors. And then one of them needed a headshot, and I was like, I could do that. I'll just move a little closer to you. And I moved
Mm.
closer, and then I was like, whoa, this is tough because people get weird when the camera gets closer. And I was like, I got to figure out what to say to you. And I remember not having a clue. So, but that was like the start of it. So then I realized it was all about direction, and I needed to figure out how to direct. And then I guess from my modeling, I had an awareness of how to. I didn't know really lighting. I just used natural light when I started, but I just kind of like everything I ever did was trial and error. So I never knew there was a teaching circuit or how to get it into a class. I never took a class. I just used to go to the Javits Center for Photo Plus Expo every year and see these amazing pictures and these people speaking. I never thought I'd be one of them. You know,
Mm.
it's pretty cool.
Well, man, just the fact that you had so much time in front of the camera, that really is kind of it's a special thing that you can recall back during your shoots to put yourself in that situation. Like you're saying, you understand the feeling people get when you get closer with the camera, and I think that's something really huge. I would think in your back pocket as you're stepping into the world, understanding what the subject feels like.
Yeah, and I think a lot of photographers miss that. Like a lot of the excuse I always get, because I always like photographing photographers, just because I just think it's ridiculous that if a portrait photographer doesn't have a good picture of themselves, I want to take it. I'm like, I'll take one of you. Uh, but they, you
Yeah.
know, they're like, no, 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 no. I'm always, that's why I'm behind the camera. But the whole point is that, you know, you're obviously feeling those feelings. Like, what about your subject? You're just leaving them hanging and you're not experiencing
Yeah.
what that is for yourself. Maybe you get in there and you figure out some breakthroughs for you that can help your subject, because it really is about connection. That's what it is. There's three things for me. It's composition, it's it's positioning the person as a portrait photographer. So composing, positioning them, and then connection. So those are the
Amen.
three things that are the most important to me, and then the technical is secondary.
Yeah, I man. So when you're going through this script and you're trying to nail out your directing, let's say your pitch or kind of how you go through this, did you practice it by yourself or was it just, man, let's get someone else in here and talk to them and bounce it off of them in real time?
Oh no, you really gotta be hands on. Like it's gonna only happen. I look at it as gifts. Like I shoot whenever I'm shooting, I'm trying to stretch myself. And I believe that when I come up with something new to say to somebody, or I come up with a way to connect with somebody in a way I haven't before, that it's a gift. It was like given to me from the ether. I don't know. I just something pops in
Yeah.
my brain.
Yeah.
I try it and it works, and I'm like, wow, I'm gonna say that every single day for the rest of my photography career. I came up with this app called, well, what happened was I started to figure these things out, and I was like, wait, when I say that to somebody, they really respond. Let me try
There we
that
go.
again, you
There we
know?
go.
So I did my first headshot intensive. I started a coaching site called the Headshot Crew, and I did my first headshot intensive underneath this umbrella, and I started to teach how I direct, and people said, call it Hurley. Those are Hurleyisms. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I made a web browser based app called hurleyisms.com, which everybody listening can go to. It's free for my like top 50 one liners. And they're just silly things that I say to people, but it makes the person think. And then you can upgrade to the pro version, but there's 1,000 lines in there. So I found lines that I say to people as part of not only coaching them and teaching them, but saying things that make the person think. If you make the person think, they forget about the camera, and then you're creating that connection. So, and sometimes you can say silly things to make them react, and sometimes I say things just to see what they'll do. I don't mean anything by it. Like for instance, one of my favorites I said one day, this is like a gift that popped into my brain. I was shooting a guy and I said, okay, that's perfect. Just like that. And now just can you just look a little slightly more handsome for me? You
Yeah,
know?
right there. It makes me want to laugh. Yeah.
And they look at you like don't you think if I could do that I'd be turning it on? You know, I'm like, yeah, I hope you
Yeah.
would have. You know, but you say things that
Yeah.
like, because humans we like to be right. Like the minute that you give somebody a goal like that, slightly more handsome, okay, all right, how do I do that? I got to do that for Peter.
Mhm.
You know, it's just funny. It
Yeah.
just creates a thought process. Now that's like my thing. But I think the point is that every photographer out there has to have their thing. Like when somebody
Mhm.
gets in front of my camera, that connection is going to be different with me than it is if somebody's in front of your camera or anybody else's camera. That's why
Yeah.
it's the three things. It's composition, positioning the person, obviously the photographer, and then obviously there's a technical side, which if you're not proficient, technically you have to work on that first, but that should be done by the time the person gets in front of the camera. Once they're in front of the
Okay.
camera, it just becomes about moving them around, making sure the light's right when you do move them, composing your shot, and then creating that connection. So
Mm,
especially if there's eye contact into the lens.
okay. Man, that's
Right.
great. I'm so glad you said that. I mean, it's I don't know, man. That just hasn't really been reinforced into my brain. And I was doing a shoot last night and just kind of working through it. And man, I've used your technique where you've taught about the subject extending their neck in a headshot
Mm-hmm.
in order to
Mm-hmm.
accentuate the jawline for the more flattering look, and it
Mm-hmm.
works. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
great. But how do you balance, staying calm where you're coaching the subject, but you're not rushing through the shoot? Because I feel like sometimes I'm rushing just to like, okay, let's get it and let's hurry up because I don't want them to, I don't know, think I don't know what I'm doing, and you're
Yeah.
balancing out, like you said, directing, setting, your settings, the lighting, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, how, do you like block out and you're like, hey, I've got 30 minutes with this person and I'm just going to slow down and do my thing, or what goes through your mind?
I think everybody, it's a total, you're playing with a human, so it's a totally different from person to person. So some people, you have to rush with. Some people you have to take your time with. Like if I'm shooting a CEO and they've got me on a tight timeline, I want to be good enough at what I do that I can shoot that person in 5 minutes and get a good shot. So that's a
Okay.
case where I got to go in and rapid fire and get them connect and do all that in 5 minutes. But if I have an actor, they want to shoot all day, and they're usually
Okay.
stressed. And you want to, so, with them, it's more of a process and it's their demeanor and how they feel. And there's a different muscle for acting as opposed to getting shot by a still camera. So some people, yeah, a lot of the best actors are very good in front of a still camera, but some of them fall apart. And you have to coach them through this static process because they're used to moving and being a character and not being themselves and not being, in one position. So it's just different for everybody. So there's no rhyme or reason. It's really you have to, shift your I call it shtick, like the way you roll when you're shooting, to match
Okay.
the person that is in front of your camera. And there's, a lot of different techniques to doing that. And the more people you shoot, the more you'll understand what that is. When you're starting out, it's just about getting people in front of your camera. That's a big thing. I mean, just get the people in front of your camera so that you can start to really play around with this information.
Okay. So don't worry. It's not even a thought of, oh, how much am I going to make off of this shoot? It's about, dude, you need to get someone in front of your camera and just shoot and shoot and shoot.
Yeah, you just need to shoot. You just need to get better and better and better and better and better. And then, when you're really, really doing great, you're gonna feel it. Like people get in front of my
Yeah.
camera, and mostly the only issue that I really have in connecting with people is when, unfortunately, and I did this TEDx talk, which you guys can look at if you Google Peter Hurley TEDx. I did it with Dr. Anna Rowley, and we started this thing called Sci-Photology. It's when the person doesn't accept their appearance. So you
Mm,
shoot them, you've got them in great, hopefully, if you're shooting somebody and you're a professional or you want to become a professional, you're shooting them in great light. So the chances are, if the light's great already, like my light, I designed this light with Westcott called the Peter Hurley Flex Kit. So my light's amazing. So I know
yeah.
starting off, they get in front of that light, my job's halfway done. Like I know they haven't been in front of that light, chances are. I'm probably taking, the first shot I take is probably going to be better than anything that they already have lit wise. Then all I have to
Mm,
do is get their expression. But if that person doesn't feel secure about their appearance, you're dealing with a whole nother ball of wax. People that are securing their appearance, you shoot them, they look at it, and you go, okay, let's go to work and make it better. Let's. It's good. The expression could be better. We got work to do, and you go to work.
okay.
People that aren't secure with the way they look or what they've been given from their parents, or maybe they
Yeah.
gained some extra weight recently. Maybe they're breaking out. Maybe maybe they've never felt good about their appearance. Maybe they have I call them perceived flaws, like things that bother them that don't bother anybody else. You have to somehow get around those if you can. And those are the only
Okay.
ones that I really, if somebody's really feels, secure with themselves, and you take a picture and you're going to work because you're teaming up with this person, it's an amazing process. I love it. I did it yesterday. I shot this 12-year-old. He's 11. He's going to be 12. And he's like a superstar. The first shot I took of him was amazing. Like I could use that in my portfolio easily. His mom went
Yeah.
nuts. He went nuts. And the rest of the shoot was gravy. It was amazing. I had this
There
other
we
girl
go.
come in. Yeah. And she was like amazing from the first shot. And the rest of the shoot was amazing. I had a girl earlier in the week, could not look at her face. Beautiful girl. And I'm like, I don't sugarcoat either. Like I'll tell people they're beautiful if they're beautiful, and I want them to feel good about themselves. Like this girl was beautiful, and she did not like her face, and I couldn't
Mm.
sway her, and she left. I don't know if I think she was disappointed. I don't know that
Okay.
she was happy. And I took some amazing pictures of her, and I do these crew casts every week on Headshot Crew. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm on live. So I shot her, and I went on live an hour later, and I went through the shoot, and everybody was blown away by the pictures. And I said, yes, but she wasn't. And she walked
Wow.
out. I teach these lessons every week. I do a newsletter and do I call it weekly wisdom. And I talk about this kind of stuff because this girl walked out and it made me feel like I failed, even though I look at the pictures and they're amazing. Like the girl's beautiful, they're amazing. Like it's just crazy what society's done to us. And I believe it's from conditioning from an early age, usually um, right around adolescence, because I've never ever had a 10-year-old walk in and go, oh my gosh, I wish I would have lost 5 pounds for this shoot. You know,
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
any 10-year-old ever tell me anything negative about their appearance. They get to 13 and 14 and it's game on. It's like,
Mm.
once we start looking for a significant other or want attention from, people, I guess, and want to be attractive. We want to be attractive. It's a
And
tough
then it changes. Yeah.
it's a tough thing. Yeah, it's not easy. So that's kind of
How
what
has
we're up against.
this the volume of teaching that you've done, how has it correlated with your client work? I mean, like I'm talking specifically about how has positioning yourself as this expert through teaching, has it correlated to, higher profile clients and the ability to
No,
charge more, does it work like that for you? Has it?
no, I don't think so. I don't think it. I actually don't know if it helps. Like I was trying to downplay it on my site,
Okay.
because I think what everybody gets work from is the work. Like if you have good work on your site, I get some celebrities that I get to work with and stuff, and I guess my writing my book and things like that. But I don't think people really care. My rates are high, so it's it's interesting. It's an interesting topic of conversation, but I don't feel that the the teaching helps. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that it hurts, but I run the Headshot Crew. I've got 14,000 photographers around the world on that site,
Yeah.
and people like we do referrals to photographers. So I'm like, I was on my site. I look at the contact leads coming in. We get leads going in every day. If people can sign up if they want to get these leads. There's a free portion of, or if you want my coaching, it's 19.99 a month. But anyway, the
And Peter,
leads,
tell them the link. Tell them the link on how to get that, please.
it's
Or how do they sign up for it?
headshotcrew.com. You just go there and you register. And there's two
Awesome.
deals. There's three deals. You either sign up for free and get a free account. It's a basic account. You don't get anything but a mini site within there where you could put a portfolio and you could get into my search engine rankings in your town. Just make sure your address is searchable from Google. Otherwise, it won't work. We use Google to find these addresses. And sometimes they have funky addresses for where you live. So it's your address, but it's just different on Google, and so you have to search Google for it and make sure you get something that's really close for it to work. But so I was searching the leads that were coming in the other day, and there were two that came into New York for photographers that I trained that are under my umbrella that are associates of mine in New York, which is fine. This is the way this is supposed to work. But she didn't contact me. She contacted them, both of them. I was like, wait,
Mm.
aren't I the guy? Like, wouldn't you think at least give me a shot at this? Like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
giving work, I'm creating competition for myself by getting everybody fired up, and now these jobs are going out. I was like, wait a minute, hold on, I got to look into
yeah.
that. So
Ah,
who knows? You don't know. I don't think I don't think this woman like consciously was going like thinking. I think they get on Headshot Crew, they don't even know it's me, or and they look at it and maybe it's confusing or something. But the I don't think the teaching. The thing that I love about the teaching is I get to spread the wealth and people get to take better pictures. So I get to go all over the world
yeah.
doing it and represent great companies like Canon and Westcott and stuff like that.
Right. So it's got its own joy in and of itself. It's its own kind of entity that has its own perks.
I mean, yeah,
Well,
it changed my game completely because it allowed me to have flexibility, and it made me a better shooter. Like now, I go and I travel and I teach, and and I don't have to be in the studio. Like I can go, do whatever I feel like I need to do, and then when I get home, I get to shoot, and then I get to go out again, and it's just great. It really opened things up for me rather than, I was sitting in my studio working every day with my head, nose to the grindstone, shooting up a storm,
yeah,
which is great too. But yeah, the teaching really opened things up for me.
just more of an option of to make a living with the camera. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, Peter, when was the last time you had, a big mistake or we've all been there, but or I personally have that moment where my heart or my stomach just drops because I know something bad has happened. Maybe it was the equipment or I get back and my focus was off or I was just having a bad day in directing and I didn't get the best out of the client. Can you recall maybe what was the last time that happened and what it was for
Yeah,
you?
yeah. I mean, I've had, unfortunately, it's both with the same client. So I had this client who was a great client for me. I won't name him, but I was shooting a lot of authors. So which was awesome. And I had this one come in, and she said she didn't want anybody in the room. And I was like, okay, I'll close off the room. So I closed off the room. I was like, I'm not letting anybody in the room. And the woman who was the art director who hired me was like, okay, I want to come in and see the pictures. And I was like, well, she can be in the room, right? And I let her in the room. And I just couldn't connect with this woman at all. And I don't know with the subject, so, and I don't
Yeah.
know, I wish I would have done that differently. It turned out that I didn't know this at the time, but she was pregnant and feeling, overweight and not feeling good about herself. So the client called me, they paid me for the shoot, but they were like, we're not going to use your pictures. She doesn't like them. I was like,
Oh,
great.
wow.
It was like, it sucked. And then I lost that client for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. And then they came back and I started shooting more covers for them, which was really cool. And I shot this one individual and the cover went out and it was good. And then this person wrote another book and they called me and were like, we wanted you to shoot it again. I was like, cool, that's great. And we did the whole shoot. And and this time, I asked my sister, I was like, did this company call? Like, what's going on? Have they looked at the pictures? Like, I don't even know if they looked at the picture. I don't know what went on with the shoot. I don't know what happened,
Okay.
but I knew the book was coming out. And I was like, nobody called me to say anything. And nothing happened, but I happened to follow the author on social media. So I saw the cover of the book come out and I knew it. I was like, I looked at it. I was like, yep, I knew it. I knew she picked some, she must have done another shoot. So it's like these things happen. What can you do? You don't know. I don't even know what she didn't like about them. And on the
Okay.
shoot, but what I do is I look back on, okay, what did I do and what did I not do that that was the problem. And in this case, the problem was I let the art director and the creative director and the clients dictate what was going on. So I was just shooting and they were saying, yeah, do that, do this, that's good. Oh, just like that, do it like this, try that. And then I'm
Yeah.
shooting tethered and they're like, oh, it's great, it's great, it's great. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's not really my speed, but it's
Yeah.
they're happy, so I'm good. So, and then, you know, and then it was just, it was just like when it happened, I was like, I did not take control of that shoot, which is not like me because I'm usually pretty much in control when I'm working. But sometimes you can't be. Sometimes there's a lot of stuff going on. I have a big shoot coming up that it's like they're doing video and stills and the same thing, and I got to dive in there and take stills while the video team is working, and I'm like,
Oh,
but it's
wow.
for a huge job for a celebrity, and I'm like, I'm not going to have any creative control over this. I'm just going to be
Yeah.
shooting. So um it's just it's difficult. It is, but the challenging part about it is what makes you better. Every time the shoot went hunky dory, like perfectly, I didn't learn anything. I mean, I was excited, and that's great, and it's wonderful that that happens. But when the stuff goes down, you know how to deal with it the next time. And I've even made
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
mistake of
Yeah.
not dealing with it well the next time. But I'm learning, and you better believe the next time I'm in that situation where I've got pressing creative people, I'm going to be like, too many cooks in the kitchen, guys. Get
There you go.
let me streamline this for a little bit and see where we can go with it. And I just need some creative leeway here. So
You got Headshot Mania coming up February 18th through 22nd in Palm Springs. What are you most excited for about the event?
getting the headshot crew together. I coach these people every week, and the every instructor there is a product of my teaching, which is really cool. I mean, they're all really good shooters and everything, but they stumbled upon me at some point in their career, and I helped give them some sort of launch pad for getting into headshot photography or portraiture or something like that. Um, and they're all really good and hand selected by me to be there teaching. So it's really about the headshot crew camaraderie and what's going to go on. It's going to be phenomenal. We have over 100 people coming to it now, and it's still 3 weeks away. So I'm hoping people will sign up for it. It should be an amazing time. It's just right now I'm in like stress mode because that celebrity shoot that I told you about is scheduled for the 19th. They just keep moving it back and back and back, and they just moved it to February 19th.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, so I think I'm gonna do the shoot in the morning and then fly in the afternoon and try and make it by there's an opening party that night. So if I might be late to it or might miss it, but I gotta take the job. So um and I'm gonna have a good story for the next morning when I do the opening keynotes. So it'll be good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Peter, that's basically what I got, man. I just kind of want to open the floor up to you. Any other final thoughts you want to say, or words of encouragement to maybe some shooters out there who don't believe in themselves and they think they could never do what you do?
I think the biggest thing is that I think people are afraid of people. Like they're like, I don't want to shoot a person. I'll go shoot a like if I go out and shoot a landscape. The landscape's not going to say anything back to me. Or if I shoot a still life project or something. I think the human face is the most interesting thing that we could look at, in the world, and everybody's so varied, and then it's such a wild card with how they behave. So it's definitely the most rewarding when you get a good shot of somebody. So I think I just like to encourage everybody to get out there and photograph some people. People, are saying that everybody's getting their picture taken more than ever these days with smartphones and stuff, but that doesn't mean that they're doing it with a pro. And the difference that people see the difference, they know when the shot is professional as opposed to a snapshot with an iPhone or something like that. So we're the ones that got to take them, and we might as well give people good stuff. Everybody needs a good headshot these days. So definitely do it. And if you are unsure of what to do or where to get started, you could definitely join me on Headshot Crew, or you can go to F Stoppers and go to their store. I've got 3 tutorials there. The latest one is perfecting the headshot, which is like 10 hours of content. It's also putting money in photographers' pockets, which is amazing. I mean, it's just, if you look at how you're going to get started in photography, charging, if people want to make the jump from amateur to pro, it's just, most people, they'll shoot families or pets or weddings or, and headshots are just like a perfect way in these days because everybody needs one. So look me up and come find me. I'm here to help.
There it is. Amen. So, Peter, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. This is going to be episode 49 of Steady Focused, man. And this is just a high point in my life. So, thank you very much, man. Thank you.
All right, Simeon. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Until next time, I'm your host. I'm your number one, Mr. SimeonHendrix. And this is Steady Focused.
That was awesome. I like your in and out is good. It's so cool. Yeah, that's it.